Is it wise to sell a rental property and pay the capital gains tax and do something better instead? Get ready. In this episode, I'm going to show you that many times that I've helped clients just sell a rental property that's been sort of an albatross around their neck because they're sick and tired of taking out the trash, fixing toilets, evicting tenants, and they just want out. But they keep putting it off because, I'm going to have to pay the capital gains tax. And then I show them, just bite the bullet, pay the capital gains tax and take the net, which is usually 80%, and put it into a max funded IUL, and they're shocked about how much better it grows and how much more net income, especially tax-free income, it generates versus the net after-tax income from being a landlord and getting rental income. And they're thrilled because they don't have to manage the real estate anymore. So get ready. I'm going to give you some insights into when and why you may want to just bite the bullet, sell the real estate, pay the capital gains tax, and put the net into an IUL. Now, I have a lot of clients that are major real estate investors, okay? Some people would say, well, Doug, you own more real estate than most Americans. Well, that's true. There's a big difference. I don't like being a landlord, so most of my real estate is either for personal use or if I do buy a piece of real estate, I fix it up and then I flip it. I don't want to keep owning it and managing it because I can do far better. Anyway, so let's calculate the annual net income that your rental property is currently generating to compare to other financial vehicles, such as IUL, okay? So there's 4 steps to this process. You take the annual rental income. So annualize your rental income. I'm going to give you an example here in just a moment. And then you take that and divide it into the property value. Okay, this should be fairly, math 101 if you own rental properties. Then calculate the net after-tax value of that rate of return, and then we'll compare it to the returns that you could get from an IUL if it's properly structured. Okay, very simple 4-step process. So let's do that right now. Let's say that you have a rental, property that's worth $500,000. Okay. And your rental income is $24,000, $2,000 a month. Okay. So if you're renting out this home or whatever for $2,000 a month and it appraises for $500,000, $2,000 a month is $24,000 a year. Okay. Now the rental property is worth $500,000. So you divide it by the property value, and you'll end up with 4.8. Okay, it'll say on your calculator, it'll say 0.048. That means you're getting a 4.8% annual return on that $500,000 asset. Okay, you can't believe how many people I show them and they go, wow, I've never figured out what my return is. In fact, I remember a couple in California years ago. Their 6-bedroom home they had built 40 years earlier to raise their 6 children. They built it for $250,000, but it kept appreciating in value because it was in Palo Alto, California, and it was now worth $4.8 million. And they're sitting there going, wow, our house is worth $4.8 million. But we're thinking about moving, and we don't want to sell it because we can rent this home for $12,000 a month. Well, $12,000 a month. I said, you know how pathetic that is? They go, $12,000 a month? Yeah, $12,000 a month is $144,000 a year. Yeah. Well, divide that $144,000 into an asset that's worth $4.8 million, and you realize you're only getting about 2.5% annual rate of return on your money. That's pathetic. They didn't even realize it. Okay. So this is what this calculation does. It tells you what you're getting a 4.8% rate of return in this example. But in this calculation, the 3rd step is to calculate the net after-tax value. Now, if you're earning 4.8%, okay, and you're in a 25% bracket, okay, I'm just going to use a 25% bracket. People in California are usually in 33 to 40% brackets. You have to subtract that. You have to take 25% off of that, you're only netting 3.6% rate of return. That's pretty pathetic, okay? Now, you compare a 3.6% after-tax return, and by the way, if you think because you're able to depreciate and deduct the interest if you have a mortgage and you do all that, and so I don't care if you're netting 4.8. That's still not very much. That's nothing to write home about. But most of the time, after tax, it's less, okay? You compare 3.6% rate of return, what do I get on my IUL? If I have $500,000 in an IUL, it's pretty much a no-brainer that I can earn 8%. I can take out $40,000 a year tax-free without depleting the 500 grand. Okay, 8% versus 3.6. But if I use index loans in order to access my money, where I actually can earn another 2% arbitrage, most of our clients get a 10% rate of return because we rebalance and we have annual reviews. And so 10% is $50,000 a year of income instead of $24,000, okay? It's substantially more than even the after-tax or before-tax rate of return. So in this example, if you did this calculation and you're only getting 4.8, even without taking the net of 3.6, I can tell you that that same 500,000 in an IUL would blow the rental property out of the water. Why do you want to mess around with a rental property and be a landlord? Okay. And this is why many people who own rental properties say, okay, enough already, done. Now, they're going to have to pay the capital gain tax. And if they have owned this for a long time, and so let's say they've depreciated this down to nothing and the land is only worth 50 grand or whatever, they may have to pay a capital gain tax of 80,000 or whatever. If you have to pay a capital gain tax of 20% on this, and you only net, 420,000 or whatever, still 420,000, earning 10% is 42,000 a year of income versus 24,000 gross, or you're only netting what, 18,000 after tax. I would rather have about 100% more income by even selling the real estate, taking the net, and having 420,000 generating 42,000 of tax-free income versus having only 18,000 after tax income. Does this make sense? It's worth paying the capital gain tax and starting to have tax-free money from that point forward. And so hopefully this helps you determine it. And if you pay the capital gain tax, right now as of the recording of this episode, the capital gain tax is probably the lowest rate you'll ever see, about 20%, and then plus whatever state you happen to be living in. But see, that's going to jump up to 39.6% if Kamala Harris had won the election. Then she was going to double it, or Biden got reelected, they were going to double it to 39.6. And so you want to seize the opportunity and get the capital gain taken care of it. You're not really saving anything. The step up in basis that you get if you hold on to a rental property until you die, now your kids get a step up in basis, and they only have to pay tax on what they sell the property for over and above what it's worth, over and above what it was worth when they inherited it. Well, sometimes that means you have to hold on to that rental until you die. Is that what you want to do? Instead of just selling it. So hopefully from this episode, you can see if you want to just get rid of the property, it may be worth just biting the bullet and paying the capital gain tax and taking the net and putting it into an IUL. And most of the time, my clients who do that, they're shocked at the amount of tax-free income it generates in an IUL that exceeds the net after-tax income they were getting from their rentals, and they don't have to be a landlord anymore. So folks, if you want to learn more, there's stories in my book. I want to gift you my most recent best-selling book. It retails on Amazon for anywhere from $20 up to $60, plus shipping and handling, but I'll gift you a copy for free. If you go to laserfund.com or click on the link below, I require a little skin in the game. You contribute a nominal amount towards the shipping and handling. I'll cover the rest of that cost, and I will pay for this book. And I will fire out a hard copy to you via priority mail. Now, it's actually two books in one. The white covered side is for the left brain learner. All the charts, graphs, explanations, 200 pages, 14 chapters. If you're more of a right brain learner, you learn more by stories, you can flip it over to the orange one. That's about 100 pages, 12 chapters with 62 actual client stories. If you want to use your whole brain, your right brain and your left brain, read both of these books. Total of 300 pages. Now, folks, when you're in there claiming your free copy, if you like to listen and learn or watch and learn, there's those formats available for your investment. But you can schedule to attend one of our free educational webinars that we do every single week. No cost, no obligation. But you can even schedule an appointment to talk to an IUL professional that I have trained, I oversee, and they can create some hypothetical illustrations for you to see how a property structured max funded IUL laser fund will work in your particular set of circumstances to accommodate the extra cash flow that you've been sending towards the mortgages on your rentals, or if you sell it or you refinance it and you have lump sums coming out of those rentals, they'll show you what that money would do in an IUL and how much more liquidity, safety, rate of return, and tax benefits you would get by doing that. That's called asset optimization.